Hey everyone, welcome to Primary Market Chatter, brought to you by Sunday Investing. This is our January 4th week edition. This is the part one of the January 4th week IPOs. So हम इस बार के जो IPOs हैं वो दो पार्ट में करने वाले हैं. I had a lot of questions कि डॉक्टर अग्रवाल क्यों नहीं है उस लिस्ट में, क्योंकि हम उसको सेकेंड पार्ट में करेंगे because we still need to just understand the company a bit more and understand about it. So we'll do it along with Malpani Pipes. But yeah, for today it should be a very, very quick episode. We wanted to do 3 SMEs, one of which is closing tomorrow. So we wanted to do this episode today and just get them out of the way. So what we'll be doing, we'll be covering 3 SMEs, CLN Energy, GB Logistics and Electro Mech Limited. So that's the overall agenda for the episode per se. That is what we will be doing, and especially in these markets, we need to be very careful when we are applying for IPOs. So would exercise caution as a very high level rule. But yeah, even before we get started, just want to highlight a couple of things. One, we are not SEBI registered research analysts, so please do not take our any of our views as a qualified opinion. हम जो भी बोले that can उसको आप रिकमेंडेशन ना समझें. डेफिनेटली डू योर ओन ड्यू डिलिजेंस. आप अपने ड्यू डिलिजेंस से ही अप्लाई या फिर ना अप्लाई करें आईपीओस को. आप अपना डिसीजन खुद लें. ये सिर्फ एक सप्लीमेंट हो सकता है टू हेल्प यू विथ योर डिसीजन. सेकेंड थिंग, अगर आपने इफ यू आर लिसनिंग टू दिस फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, यूट्यूब चैनल का link in the pinned comments hai, so definitely go ahead and follow the YouTube channel as well, and that's where we post all of these IPOs and you can listen to them at your own leisure. With that, maybe we can, I know Tanmay is still not here. He'll probably join in the next 2 minutes. एक और चीज, अगर किसी पे कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो आप क्वेश्चन चैट बॉक्स में डाल सकते हो. वील टेक देम. आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन. इफ शेयर होल्डर कोटा can be withdrawn at a later stage, IPO application can be withdrawn at a later stage, I think not. Again, check करना पड़ेगा मेरे को एक बार DRHP में. But I think shareholder quota is more like a HNI version where it works in such a way that it cannot be withdrawn. Not sure. Again, Dr. Agrawal में बहुत time है, so we'll see when we reach there how we want to deal with that. But yeah, having said that, let's move forward and start talking about the first company for the day. The first company we'll be talking about is Electro Mech Limited. The company is an infrastructure firm specializing in turnkey projects, including supply, installation, testing, and commissioning of pumping machinery, and providing comprehensive O&M solutions, operations, and maintenance भी करता है company basically. अब अगर मैं ये IPO just सेटअप कर दूं तो it's a 28 करोड़ IPO, 28 करोड़ का IPO है, all of which is a fresh issue. So very small IPO, 28 करोड़ IPO at a market cap of 103 crores. So company bare minimum dilute करिए 26.5%. In terms of the FY24 financials, कंपनी का रेवेन्यू जो था वो 117 करोड़ था और जो पैट है वो 8 करोड़ है. सो दे आर कमिंग एट लाइक वेरी डिसेंट वैल्यूएशन, 12-13 पीई पर से 8 करोड़ के पैट के साथ ये 100 करोड़ की वैल्यूएशन पे आ रहे हैं. एंड इनका एलएम जो है वो बी लाइन कैपिटल है. सो विद दैट, यस, डू यू वांट टू गो अहेड एंड टॉक अबाउट एचएम इलेक्ट्रो?
So the company is engaged in turnkey projects, mainly जैसा मनीष ने बोला, involving supply of various pump products, pipes, etc. And then they do installation and testing of the same. The other thing which they are doing is the EPC contracts, which is basically जो नॉर्मल ठेकेदारी होती है, ये भी वही कर रहे हैं. तो 2 सेगमेंट हो गए. एक तो सप्लाई, इंस्टॉलेशन, टेस्टिंग एंड कमीशनिंग ऑफ पंपिंग मशीनरी, एंड इसके ऊपर इनका ये भी होता है कि O&M, विच इज ऑपरेशन एंड मेंटेनेंस. देन देयर इज ईपीसी प्रोजेक्ट्स. तो अभी जो इनका रेवेन्यू बाइफिकेशन है, इट्स मोस्टली इनटू कॉन्ट्रैक्ट सर्विसेज. सॉरी. तो ऑलमोस्ट 83% रेवेन्यू इनका ईपीसी बिजनेस से है. एंड देन जो O&M है, दैट इज क्लोज टू 5%. एंड जो सेल ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स है, विच इज basically supplying pumps, valves, pipes, etc. It is 17%. All talking about for the period ended September 30th, 2024. तो हाफ ईयर की बात कर रहा हूं मैं इसमें. I'll quickly try to cover the rest of the part because देयर इज नथिंग मच टू टॉक अबाउट इन द कंपनी. ये तो हो गया कि ये कैसे पैसा कमाती है. अगर ज्योग्राफीज की बात करूं तो मेजरली फोकसिंग इनटू गुजरात. 84% ऑलमोस्ट गुजरात से इनका बिजनेस आता है. देन रेस्ट 6% इज फ्रॉम राजस्थान एंड देन 8% इज फ्रॉम महाराष्ट्र. ठीक है. तो पैसा क्यों रेज कर रही है? देर मोस्टली रेजिंग फॉर वर्किंग कैपिटल नीड्स. 21 करोड़ का वर्किंग कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट है इनको. ठीक है. तो ये लोग क्या कर रहे हैं कि अब इसमें क्या होता है कि सब जो भी लेबर वगैरह होता है एंड जो भी कॉस्टिंग होती है वो काफी ज्यादा कैश बेस्ड होता है. तो इनका जो हाफ ईयर का भी जो रेवेन्यू है ऑलमोस्ट इन्होंने समथिंग 40 समथिंग करोड़ इन्होंने रेवेन्यू करा था H1 में. ठीक है. जिसमें से काफी ज्यादा ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स में अटका हुआ है. तो उसी के लिए ये लोग पैसा रेज करने आए हैं. प्लस जो इनका जो वर्किंग कैपिटल प्रोजेक्शंस दे रखा है दैट इज नॉट क्वाइट एक्साइटिंग फॉर मी. FY26 में 27 करोड़, FY27 में 36 करोड़. सो नॉट मच ग्रोथ सीइंग आई एम सीइंग ओवर देयर. प्लस जो ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स भी है बैलेंस शीट में दैट हैज गॉन अप क्वाइट मतलब क्वाइट सिग्निफिकेंटली. जैसे कि अभी सितंबर में 34 करोड़ है एंड ओवरऑल रेवेन्यू इज 44 करोड़ था. तो कैश आ नहीं रहा है. प्लस ट्रेड पेबल्स भी काफी ज्यादा है. 34 करोड़ तो दिया ही नहीं है अभी. तो अगर मैं ओवरऑल कैश की बात करूं तो 34 करोड़ देना है और 34 करोड़ मेरे को मिला भी नहीं है. तो ऑलमोस्ट 90 करोड़ तो मेरे को कैश अटका हुआ है मेरा. ठीक है. तो कैश कन्वर्जन साइकिल बहुत पुअर है कंपनी का अभी. प्रॉफिट की बात करूं तो कुछ ज्यादा ग्रोथ हुआ नहीं है प्रॉफिट में. H1 में आई थिंक 3.3 करोड़ है. लास्ट फुल ईयर का 8.9 करोड़ था. एनुलाइज करने के बाद भी 6 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट आ रहा है. बट दिस इज मोस्टली आई बिलीव दिस इज मोस्टली ऑल्सो H2 हैवी बिजनेस लाइक ऑल अदर EPC प्लेयर्स. तो लेट्स सी कि H2 में क्या करते हैं. बट एक चीज और था इसमें इनका 4-5 प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए दे हैव साइंड अ JV विद VL इंफ्रा क्योंकि दे आर डूइंग सेम वर्क जो VL इंफ्रा करता है ना. तो उनके साथ भी इन्होंने JV वेवी फॉर्म करके दे आर वर्किंग विद देम. प्लस इन्होंने क्या कर रखा था ना इनका जो कोर बिजनेस था वो पहले इंफ्रा प्रोजेक्ट्स था. तो जैसे वाटर सप्लाई का काम करवाना, उसके प्रोजेक्ट्स बनवाना, म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन. तो मोटा मोटी सारे काम सारे जो क्लाइंट्स भी अभी हैं इसके वो भी गवर्नमेंट बेस्ड हैं. तो वहां कैश ज्यादा फंसता है. ठीक है. तो और इन्होंने अपने RHP में क्या कर रखा है कि दे हैव गिवन देयर ऑर्डर बुक एज 410 करोड़ एज ऑफ सितंबर 2024. बट अगर उन ऑर्डर्स को भी आप बाइफरकेट करके देखोगे कि इसमें से कितने एग्जीक्यूटेड हैं तो ऑलमोस्ट 227 करोड़ वो एग्जीक्यूट कर चुके हैं. तो मोटा मोटी 180-190 करोड़ बचता है इसमें से जो अनएग्जीक्यूटेड है. अब उसमें से भी जो ये 227 करोड़ एग्जीक्यूटेड है ना बहुत सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स ऐसे हैं जो 2022 2023 के एंड उसमें भी पूरा अभी तक रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं हुआ है. ठीक है. तो वो थोड़ा डिले दिखा रहा है मेरे को यहाँ पे. तो आई थिंक बेटर है कि दिस शुड बी अवॉइडेड बिकॉज VL इंफ्रा भी देखो चीप प्राइस टू अर्निंग्स पे आया था एंड स्टिल इट्स एट 13x TTM बेसिस पे. राइट. तो ये भी ऑलमोस्ट सेम मल्टीपल पे आ रहा है एंड वर्किंग विद सेम ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल एंड ऑर्डर बुक में भी इश्यूज हैं. तो आई थिंक बेटर टू बी अवॉइडेड. एंड अभी रिसेंट लिस्टिंग में भी काफी अच्छी कंपनीज आई थी वो तक दे आर नॉट परफॉर्मिंग वेल. तो आई डोंट थिंक वी शुड अप्लाई दिस कंपनी.
At least from a listing gain, so I think recent wali companies did well. Rika and Kabra did a 90%. Landmark didn't do that well. And then I think EMA
Even
partners
EMA
also
didn't do that well.
didn't do that well, although it still gave some pop. I again, for some reason, think it's okay, but it's just the market is so bad that it's very difficult to apply any companies which are slightly weakish on the weakest tone. Market is punishing everything left, right, and center. So it's a very difficult decision to take right now, and seems like
अभी वही ना देखो VL इंफ्रा भी ऑलमोस्ट 83 पे खुला था. अभी 51 पे.
yep. Although this has some anchors in it, right? I'm seeing RKIF है जो कि Beeline वाले का ही anchor है जो कि Beeline LMS का. Then there's India Max Investment Fund. I'm not sure which one is this. But 8 CR anchor है तो maybe free float छोटा है 18 CR का free float है. But again, I don't think this is the market where people would want to do all of those
Correct.
free float games, and so it seems like just wait and watch per se right now, right?
Correct.
Got it. So maybe with that, we have covered the first company. We'll move forward to the next company. The second company we'll talk about is CLN Energy. Just setting up the company, it offers B2B solutions for electric vehicles, manufacturing customized lithium-ion batteries and motors, and dealing in powertrain components for electric vehicles, including controllers, throttles, DC-DC converters, displays, and differentials. Just setting up the IPO for Rohit. It's a 72 crores IPO, so pretty big IPO, ending tomorrow. 72 crores का IPO है, market cap 264 crores है. So decent market cap. In terms of FY24 financials, कंपनी जो है वो 133 CR का रेवेन्यू की थी एंड 10 करोड़ का पैट की थी. So it's coming at like a very high PE, at least at a prima facie level. 26-27 के PE पे आ रहा है और 25% टाइप का डाइल्यूट कर रहे हैं. 72 CR डाइल्यूट कर रहे हैं, 264 CR वैल्यूएशन. In terms of the LM is RMN Capital. So with that, Rohit, do you want to go ahead and talk about CLN Energy? I want to know about this company. I haven't read much, but there's been no chatter about it. I thought this was a much better company for sure. But yeah, look forward to it.
Sure, I'll cover this. It's an interesting space. It's definitely coming at the wrong time, and it's coming maybe a little expensive. But I'll come to that. So, like you said, this is a 72 crore raise. This company is raising this for a mix of capex and working capital. So this company was founded in 2019 under a different name, JLN Phoenix or something. And this company is a manufacturer of lithium-ion batteries across 2 units that they have in Noida and Pune. And these batteries are primarily used for EVs, mainly two-wheelers, as well as some stationary battery applications. Stationary applications would be things like power backups, UPS, in telecom, for example, data centers, and whatever you can, wherever you think a power backup system would be used. They also have some small component which makes these powertrain components for EV specifically. It's a little different from the battery business. So one thing here to remember is this business was actually mainly into trading. So they would import and sell cells, that is the individual unit that makes up the battery. That was majority of the business. So almost 80% of the business 3 years ago was just trading. But today, just 5% of the business is trading, which is actually really good. And it's important to keep this context when you just look at the growth of the company or the, say, perceived lack of growth of the company in the last 3 years. Because now about 75% of the business is actually from manufacturing, which in my view is very good. So just before I get into what exactly they do, just one highlight from this presentation that I'd seen by Nomura, that this battery market, especially this lithium-ion battery market, is expected to grow at a 60% CAGR till 2030. So this underlying tailwind is enormous, and this is across different sectors, whether it is EV or storage or whatever, across everything. But that is a very strong, I think, fundamental tailwind that we have to keep in mind. And you'd expect companies that focus on this to get a good premium for that reason. So what does this company do exactly? They make battery packs that go into these various use cases. It could be in a 2-wheeler, a 3-wheeler, like an e-rickshaw, small tractors, electric forklifts, golf carts, and so on, as well as some of these stationary applications like UPS, telecom, and so on. What they do is they import cells from China, which is their main raw material, and they assemble these packs with some engineering. This engineering could be around the battery management system, it could be around the thermal management, it could be around safety, and all of these things vary based on the end use case. So that's where the engineering, and if you have to look for a moat, that's where the moat exists. Today in India, cell manufacturing itself is much, much smaller, lithium-ion cell. I think it's very new. Government has come out with a PLI scheme. There are only a few very, very, very large players. Even Ola, for example, is probably going to be the biggest one, Ola Electric. But you have some of the big players that do cells. But cell as a business, you cannot really expect an SME company to really be getting into the engineering of cells. So what they are doing is probably the most you can expect from an SME. In terms of capacity today, they have this capacity across 4 processes in the value chain. There are 4 of them. There's grading, sorting, the actual assembly, that's manufacturing, and there's testing. And today they're constrained by the last one, which is testing. So you can only do as much as the lowest one. So this is sort of like a bottleneck. They have about 110 kilowatt hour of capacity for testing. and that they are taking to 260 kilowatt hours. So you can say that their overall capacity can increase by around 130% with the addition of the machines, for which they're raising this money. About 10 crore of their working capital is for this capex, which is to add some of these machines. So that gives good visibility to, I'd say, near-term visibility to growth, at least from their capability side. If you look at the business, about 60% is for this e-mobility, 25% is the stationary telecom UPS types, and 15% is for powertrain components. One thing is they've not mentioned who their clients are anywhere. I searched quite hard. I couldn't find anything. But given that their CEO, actually their team is quite interesting and quite strong. Their CEO was the ex-CEO of the Indus Towers, which is this large public listed telecom company. The ex-CEO of that company is Western region. So I would assume that at least Indus Towers is one client. But beyond that, there's just absolutely, I couldn't find any digital footprint at all on who some of their clients could be. That would have been helpful. They seem to have a decent R&D team. They have a 15-member team. So at least if you look at it on LinkedIn, you'll find that some of those team members they look fairly well qualified. So this isn't simply on paper R&D. At least that was the sense I could get. So there is definitely some design and research that is happening in this company. Their numbers are solid once you account for the fact that their growth is only optically low. This is basically they've gone from trading, which anyone can drive any number, or you can do 1,000 crore revenue also if you have the working capital for it. But they've shifted from trading, which is virtually no value add, to manufacturing, or let's say assembly/manufacturing, which is obviously higher value add. So if you ignore that trading revenue, which is fairly pointless, the business has actually grown very fast in the last 3 years. In the last year, they did about 130 crore revenue in FY24 at about a 7% margin, I think 6.5-7% margin, which is decent, PAT margin. One point here I've seen in some places is what happened 2 years ago, because they had like this artificial dip in their PAT margin in 23 to almost like 0%, because they had to take a one-time write-off due to a fire that happened in one of their premises. So they had to write off some 7 crore loss because of that one-time thing. This year, they're expecting to do, as per their working capital calculations, they're saying they should do about 180 crore, which will be up from 132 crore last year, which is pretty healthy. And their cash flows and balance sheet are both fine if you look at it on a full year basis till FY24. Mid-year, obviously, many companies will have slightly off balance sheets. But I think if you just look at it on a full year basis, they're actually pretty good solid cash flows, and it's fairly strong balance sheet. So the main question here is, are they just an assembler, or is there something more? And that is, I think, for each person to do their diligence. Like I said before, lithium cell manufacturing in India is very new. Most capacity and capabilities only now coming live. And we should not view that as the lens with which to measure a 4-year-old company, SME company, that has not raised any external capital. So either you have well-funded startups, or you have the big giants that actually do cell manufacturing. So I think what these guys do is very good for the size of the company and the fact that they're an SME company. I personally do see a fairly high ceiling for this company, but I don't expect the company to get any valuation right now at all, unfortunately. So this company is coming at a 27 trailing multiple. If I'm being generous, I would say it's around 22 times FY25. This is, in a bull market, I can easily see this company listing 90%, having stories on social media, and actually running also for some time. In a market like this, I don't see this able to sustain it's a 70 crore raise, 50 crore will be float. Given how poorly EMA listed on Friday, I'll be very doubtful, unless there's some huge change in sentiment, that this is going to be able to sustain and list well. The anchor book is fairly unique in that there are only 3 anchors, and the first 2 anchors are actually both 2 different schemes from a single fund. There's this Craft Emerging Market Fund. So it's just 2 schemes from that fund. So 14 crore of that anchor book, 18 crore anchor book, or 20 crore anchor book is just Craft Emerging Market Fund, which has had a mixed track record. Another small thing is there's no available interviews with management. I couldn't find anything. So even though the management team looks strong on paper, you can't really understand what their plans are and how exactly they're going to execute. If that was there, that would have given me a lot more confidence. I'd say safe people avoid. This is not, the market hasn't, let the market show some signs of turning and valuing some of these companies. If this company had come at, say, an 17, 18, 20 kind of PE, it would have been a safer bet. But at 27 trailing, it looks very risky to me in this market. So I am planning to avoid this, or at max apply with the view key. If I get an allotment, I will not look at it for a year. But yeah, that is the scene. I think in a better market, this would definitely have done better, and I'm fairly bullish about the prospects in the long term of this company. But in the short term, it is not going to list well, is my view.
So are you planning to not apply even at the IPO price for IPO for like whatever listing? Do you think, and again, this is a question which
Yeah,
there's not a right answer, but do you think it can list at discount? Like
it can.
a lot of people would have it.
Yeah, no, it absolutely can list at a discount. I wouldn't be surprised right now. Like if this company listed on Friday, as of where the market mood was on Friday, I'm pretty sure it would have listed at a discount. Now again, like there are 3 more days before it will, 3-4 days before it lists. If there is some change in mood, then we can change our mind. But this is not, I mean, at the price and at the way typical SME investors view this. I mean, I'm just looking at EMA, right? EMA is such a high quality business, not very dissimilar in terms of the growth projections, in terms of say it's a fairly unique business, very unique in the SME space. It had an incredibly strong anchor book. It had mutual funds in the anchor book, and it couldn't even hold a 20% sort of pop and hit like a big LC with like retailers. Just like every single person in LC was a retailer. So there were like 4 lakh shares and 400 lots. So that means that every retailer with 1 lot was selling. So that selling pressure is definitely going to come even in something like this. So for me, it is an avoid just because it's not showing any of those signs that this can list well. There's no underlying, none of the groups that people are really talking about this company. There's no, say, messages sort of floating that we've got some information about this company, this can do well, this, like say some predictions of say what they do in FY25, FY26 and so on. That undercurrent is missing. And when the undercurrent is missing in a market like this, it feels really, really difficult for this to list well. So I think safe investors should just avoid unless something changes in the next 4 days at a very macro level for the entire SMEs pack or the micro cap and mid cap space. Sorry, micro cap, small cap space. Otherwise one avoids this and looks at this much later.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's closing tomorrow, so don't have 4 days in order to decide the decision.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you have 1 day to decide whether to apply, 4 days to see whether it lists well.
Yeah, I would have applied for this issue. I have applied for the last main board, 10 voters, so I don't have a lot of free money. But yeah, let's see, I might apply.
Yeah, it'll be very, very dependent on the general sentiment and whether something is changing, whether there is really a lot of interest in the field. Because it was weird that there were only 3 anchors in a 22 crore anchor book. There were only 3 anchors. It shows extreme bullishness by the lead anchor, but also clearly nobody else applied. So yeah,
I think it might, like again, it's just too uncanny that there's been no word about a 72 CR rate. Otherwise, it will always, like that bigger race, there will be people talking about it, but this one has just slid under the carpet. Nobody has talked about it at all. So
see, 70, 60 or 70 or 50, I mean, all of these are pretty big, right? You had Rex Pro, which there was no interest. There was that Lamosaic sometime back, which was a 60, 70 crore issue. And again, look at where that is today.
Yeah, but Rex Pro, Lemosaic, you could say. Like Lemosaic, you could say it. It just doesn't make sense. Like something not adding up. For Rex Pro also, it add up for me. With CLN, I am slightly confused. And one more question: how technically challenging would you consider the assembling job to be? Would you how much premium would you give it over a trading business per se?
This is not no doubt trading business is zero value add. This is, in my view, this is the first step of any kind of battery business in India. I mean, once you go past this, you have to get into assembly. Now, in assembly/manufacturing, this kind of assembly/manufacturing, the main thing is on at least the technical piece is on the battery management system. It will be on your thermal engineering, that is how do you manage heat and so on. Because every battery will have some slightly different use case. There's a certain client who wants to create a battery for his particular e-rickshaw, which has certain specifications. So you will have to do the engineering. You can't it's not just saying, I'm just going to take 10 cells, put it together and make a battery, right? There is some science and engineering behind it. So it's not that simple also. But today, I don't think the market is in the mood to sit and understand all of this. I think it will take time. Like today, marketers have said, they will let it execute, let it deliver, let there be some interviews, some people who have maybe gotten in touch with the management or get in touch with the management, some gone call. You can't, there's certainly nothing, like I have done a little bit of study on this, so I have some idea. To actually understand it, you need to talk to the, you have to talk to the management to know the real complexity and depth of what they do. You remember OCell devices that came 3-4 months ago? Nobody understood that company. If for 3 months, it sat as it's an assembler when it's not. In OCell, at least you could see videos of their manufacturing facilities, and their manufacturing facilities were manufacturing, not assembling. But I remember everyone saying it's an assembler. But it's not. And today, after 3-4 months, it went up from 200 to 300, 320, whatever. And then they've also won certain orders or deals that show that they are actually a manufacturer, not an assembler. How long it will take for us to understand what this company does, whether it's actually manufacturing or to appreciate what they're doing? I think in this market, there is no scope of it happening. So even though they do, in my personal view, do things that are a lot more than simply assembling, and that not anybody can do it. There's definitely, it's difficult for somebody to get into this business. Market will not appreciate it, is my view.
Got it, understood. With that, we've kind of covered CLN Energy. I would still take my chances. I would apply very cautiously. I'll say I'll want to secure a lot if I can. But that's just being around. But yeah, the market says that it's punishing everything. With that, we'll kind of move forward to the third company and talk about GB Logistics. The company is engaged in business of logistics and trading of agricultural commodities. It offers full truckload freight services to large and medium-sized enterprises, etc. Just setting up the IPO, it's a 25 crore IPO at a market cap of 84 crores. So ये 25 crore raise कर रहे हैं 84 crores के market cap पे. So they are diluting around 30% of the company. In terms of the FY24 financials, they did 116 crores of revenue and 5 CR of PAT. So 4% PAT margin type पे operate कर रहे हैं and 5 crores का इनने PAT किया. So they're coming at 17 P if I have to give a P number to this company. And the LM is SKI Capital. And it's ending tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So just setting up very high level. I found it I'm not going to apply to this company. Should not take more than two minutes to explain this. But yeah, I felt it was just made up. So what the company does, उसकी 4 trucks हैं, उनसे वो logistics करते हैं. और उसके अलावा ट्रेडिंग भी करते हैं, एग्री ट्रेडिंग भी करते हैं. सो बेसिकली from what I could understand, what they do is जो किसानों के पास फसल वगैरह उगती है, so whatever crop is irrigated, they take it and then go ahead and find, load it in their trucks and then go ahead and sell it in the मंडियां जहां पे उनको अच्छा रेट मिलता है उसका. So their business is more of a arbitrage business, if I can say so, कि यहाँ से उन्होंने लोड किया, यहाँ पे सस्ता बिक रहा है, तो पता है कि वहां पे जहां पे ये चीज नहीं उगती है, चना दाल तुअर दाल मेजरली, वहां पे जाके बेचेंगे तो रेट ज्यादा मिलेगा. सो ये पूरा आर्बिट्राज बीच का खाते हैं पैसे, इफ आई कुड अंडरस्टैंड द बिजनेस एसेंशियली. बट अगेन द प्रॉब्लम इज नॉट अ स्केलेबल बिजनेस. कितना ही कर लोगे पैसे. सो इट्स अ वेरी फ्रेगमेंटेड कॉम्पिटिटिव बिजनेस. लॉजिस्टिक्स भी नहीं है, उसके पास खुद की 4 ट्रक्स है कंपनी के पास, बाकी पूरा रेंटेड है. सो अगेन एंड ऑलरेडी 74% कंपनी का डाइल्यूटेड है. प्री आईपीओ में उनने कुछ प्री आईपीओ कर रखा है, एंड आफ्टर आईपीओ द प्रमोटर इज 52%. सो अगेन इट जस्ट फील्स लाइक अ बिजनेस विच हैज बीन मेड इनटू अ बिजनेस टू समहाउ गेट लिस्टेड. जैसे कि मैंने बताया कि 2 प्रकार के काम करते हैं कंपनी. ट्रेडिंग करती है एग्री कमोडिटीज की, जिससे 60% ऑफ रेवेन्यू आता है, एंड लॉजिस्टिक्स से 40% आता है. लॉजिस्टिक्स इज हाई मार्जिन, बट अगेन ऑल ऑफ दिस इज ये बस दिखाने के लिए कि ट्रेडिंग इतना है, लॉजिस्टिक्स इतना है. एसेंशियली द सेम थिंग कि तुम एक जगह से, किसान से तुमने फसल ली और दूसरी जगह जाके बेच के आए. सो वो दोनों आपस में कनेक्टेड है. बैलेंस शीट भी अच्छी नहीं है. 60 CR की बैलेंस शीट है, जिसमें से ओनली 20 CR इन्वेस्टर मनी है, और 40 CR का ट्रेड रिसीवेबल पड़ा हुआ है कंपनी पे. सो ह्यूज ट्रेड रिसीवेबल. 13 CR का लोन भी दे रखा है उनने फिर उसके बाद. सो वेरी वेरी बैड कंडीशन ऑफ ट्रेड द बैलेंस शीट. एसेट्स ऑलमोस्ट ऑल आर डिस्ट्रेस्ड इन अ वे. कैश फ्लो में भी बहुत दिक्कत है. आई वाज सीइंग कैश फ्लो लास्ट ईयर वर नेगेटिव, ह्यूजली नेगेटिव. इस साल बस पॉजिटिव दिखाए टू मेक श्योर की लिस्टिंग हो जाए, क्योंकि अब वो रूल आ गया है कि 3 में से 2 साल में पॉजिटिव होना चाहिए। तो उन्होंने उसके लिए क्या किया, इस बार इन्वेंट्री नहीं खरीदी है। तो इन्वेंट्री 8 करोड़ नहीं खरीदी है, तो इसलिए कैश फ्लो 1 CR से पॉजिटिव हो गया समाउ। तो इन पे अब इन्वेंट्री है नहीं। सो दैट्स हाउ दे हैव जस्ट मैनेज टू गेट इट लिस्टेड पर से। बट अगेन दैट्स व्हाई आई डिडंट लाइक द बिजनेस एट ऑल। उसके अलावा कंपनी ने थोड़ा बीच में वो भी कर रखा है कि इनने पेमेंट नहीं करी थी, डिले किया था 1 महीने तक पेमेंट करना अपनी ट्रक्स वगैरह का। सो ऑल ऑफ दैट हैज हैपेंड इन द पास्ट एज वेल। सो अगेन because of which the company doesn't give me any confidence as such, and not planning to apply. But if, like 25 CR issue hai, 5 CR they are going to prepay some of the loans, 10 CR they are going to use for working capital, 4 CR for buying 4 more trucks. So if they are able to buy 4 more trucks and agar ye karte rahenge, so maybe something can happen. But again, I don't know how. Why would you want to like गिव पी टू अ बिजनेस? लाइक मेरे को गोइंग कंसर्न का इशू है इसमें कि कितना टाइम में करोगे एंड कब तक वो आर्बिट्राज पर से चलेगा। बट स्टिल लाइक अगर मैं फाइनेंशियल्स की बात करूं तो कंपनी ने लाइक लास्ट ईयर FY24 में 115 CR किया था एंड 5 CR का पैट किया था। दिस ईयर दे हैव डन लाइक 50 CR इन H1 एंड 2.5 CR का पैट। सो दे शुड प्रोबेबली do something like that again in H2. So it's coming at like 17p, and उनने पीयर तो कुछ भी दिखाए हैं, लाइक पीयर VRL लॉजिस्टिक्स वगैरह दिखाया है, which are at like 50p, but VRL is a proper logistics business. This is just a like this is not anywhere close in terms of the LM is SKI Capital. थोड़ा मिक्स्ड ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड है उनका। बिफोर दिस दे डन एवाक्स जो 1-2 करोड़ का इशू था, उसके पहले दे वर इन द एरोस्पेस कंपनी, आई एम फॉरगेटिंग द नेम, Tech Era, which was a good issue, which they had done. So mixed track record. They are still very new in the markets and trying to find a like uh, footing. Before that, they were in Macops, which has done decent, but like fairly decently. So again, but this issue, at least on a face value, seems like a complete avoid to me. Somehow the company is just trying to get itself listed, but it's just that for some reason GMP for this has been flying. I anticipate the GMP to go completely silent after the issue is full. But having said that, what might happen, because this is a like book built issue, so what might happen is there might be some game which might be happening which I am not aware of, and I'm in no mood to play right now considering the market condition. So I'll be avoiding the issue, but I feel that the GMP may not last, or even if it lasts, then like it would just be flippers doing their things or something like that. So that is my issue with my review of GB Logistics. So again, all three issues are fundamentally pretty weak. Take your own decision, and basis that take a decision. So I would say, just if you could live long enough to come again and play another day, that's the strategy which we should be following and kind of waiting through. With that, we are almost towards the end of the space. Just want to highlight a couple of things again. अगर आपने कोई कंपनी बीच में नहीं सुनी है, so go ahead and follow the YouTube channel. YouTube channel is in the pinned comments ऊपर है. उसके अलावा second, we will also do a mid-week space. We understand we haven't done Dr. Agarwal eye care, which is a big IPO, 3000 CR IPO. So we'll talk about Dr. Agarwal's healthcare, and we'll also talk about Malpani Pipes, the two companies which are left, which are closing in this week. We will do a space on like Wednesday. By then we would have also known about the anchors and just have slightly more understanding. So we'll talk about that as well. With that, Rohit, Tanmay, do you guys have anything to add, or we can end the space now?
I think I would say that CLN Energy, this since you mentioned this, it's not, I wouldn't call it fundamentally weak. It's a little expensive, but otherwise fundamentally it is fairly sound only. It's just not coming at the right price at the right time. So it's an avoid from that perspective, and not because of the fundamentals. Others who like the fundamentals and who are willing to hold and not worry about market volatility, it's an interesting company in an interesting sector with a lot of upside in the long term. So just that I feel you'll get it. You may not be very happy having applied in the super short term, which is what many of us or many people who listen to this also care about.
Got it. Yeah. If I said fundamentally weak, then I would want to retract my statement on CLN Energy. But yeah, essentially all three, CLN Energy seems the like least weak of all weak issues in a way, like whatever you could still, like if you still had to go ahead and apply, maybe then if you had to apply in one out of those three, I would say go ahead. If you had to like definitely apply in one, then apply in a CLN is what I'll say.
Though I think, yeah, the other one, which one? The water one. I mean, I kind of agree that it is. Yeah, HM. It's also equally like in terms of applying and getting a gain, there's probably a higher chance of getting some small gain in HM. That company is going to trade at 12, 13p only. I think Yash already mentioned, very similar to this real infra, which trades in that way. So they're in the least complex part of the water value chain, which is the simple pipeline kind of EPC, not into sewerage or not into whether it is commercial sewerage or even the municipal kind of sewerage, which gets much higher multiple. So they're in the very basic sewerage, which gets just, 13, 15p. So don't expect it to sustain and to sort of, but I think because it's a small size issue, there's probably a chance of some tiny gain, very tiny gain. But yeah, I think so far this week, safe people should just kind of avoid is what I feel across the board.
Yeah. Tanmay, do you have anything to add?
सर जीवी लॉजिस्टिक्स पे ना
तीनों पे जीबी, CLN एंड HM Electro.
ओके सर एचएम इलेक्ट्रो तो मैंने ज्यादा पढ़ी नहीं, बट मुझे सीएलएन एनर्जी अच्छी लगी कंपनी एक्चुअली, बिकॉज ना दो तीन चीजें. पहला तो इट्स कमिंग ऑन अ बिट एक्सपेंसिव साइड. नाउ इट कंसिडरिंग द सेगमेंट इट्स नॉट एक्सपेंसिव, बट इन एसएमई सेगमेंट व्हेन यू सी दैट स्मॉल scale and you check that P, so it looks a bit expensive, but it's a first ever pure play lithium battery kind of a listing. So it's possible if the sentiment shift by a small margin, this IPO can get a good traction. But yes, the anchor book was not as per expectations, and the LM, I'm not sure how much he is going to push the issue, but if everything goes well, this IPO should do well, and the size is also quite good. So I am a bit not, I won't add it at any prices because I'm not sure with that kind of sector. But if the things improves, then we can get some traction to this issue. So I'm thinking to apply based on the numbers and the sentiment at last moments. GB Logistics for me is no, it's nothing for me. I didn't like the company. मतलब यार चना दाल तुअर दाल बेच के आपका revenue बढ़ रहा है. So that also trading, not processing, and the valuations are also a bit stretched. HM Electro I haven't studied, but yes, CLN I feel I'm going to take a bet on it based on the last moment numbers and the sentiment overall.
Perfect. Yeah. With that, we'll end today's space. We'll come back. We'll talk about Dr. Agrawal and Malpani Pipes. And I have a few requests in comments that talk about tomorrow's listing. Capital numbers, it's already up. You can go ahead and listen to capital numbers review. We had reviewed it last week in our YouTube channel, which is on YouTube channel. Similarly, EMA Partners, the review is on YouTube channel with respect to the fundamentals, and it doesn't change in like 2 weeks. So with that, we'll kind of end today's space. Thank you so much everyone for joining.